The Restoration Association of Florida presents Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell and co-host Hans Kennan, the voice of Florida's restoration community, where Florida's restoration professionals come together to discuss the issues impacting our industry. From insurance claims to business growth, we bring you conversations with the contractors and industry leaders shaping Florida's future. This is Contractor Talk, the voice of Florida's restoration community.
The live applause never gets old, I'll tell you that.
Never does.
All right, welcome to the show. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, co-host Hans Kennan. What's going on, Hans?
Oh, good to be back in the new format. Again, I say good to be back because we did this for a while, then went back to live radio, now we're back to this.
I love it, man. More bite-sized shows for you to digest. We're on Spotify, iTunes, and, of course, on YouTube. Like, subscribe us there. We're trying to compete against Mr. Beast, who just announced 500 million subscribers on his YouTube page. So if we get just a fraction of that, I'm pretty excited. So like and subscribe us there. And that's where we're more focused on today, or more intimate interviews with our guest, more information about what we're seeing in this industry today, so you can digest them a lot easier. Spotify, iTunes, YouTube is where you're going to find us. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. We're sponsored by the Restoration Association of Florida, raflorida.org. Check us out to become a member or see about where we're at next and our events and such like that. Today we have Jim Apuzzo. What's going on, Jim? How you been, man?
Good, Richie. How you been today?
Dude, it's been a while, man. It's so good to see you, man.
It has been a bit, but it is a pleasure to be here. Got to see Hans and meet this other gentleman here with the PA, which God knows we all need those in our business.
We do,
Thank
especially in today's environment, right? I mean, it takes a village, and that's what we were just talking about last show. It takes a village to help a homeowner get to the finish line these days. It's not just like back in the day, 10 years ago, you file a claim, adjuster comes out, writes you a check right there, and you're off to the races as a homeowner. Now it's always something.
Even though in those days, if that happened, you're getting screwed.
Yeah, even then, right? I tell about the story when I was in my early 20s, and I had a claim. It was in my kitchen, and I dried it out quick. It was just my one lower cabinet. Adjuster comes out, writes me a check for $3,000, and I was like, this is amazing. I got $3,000, and I could just fix the box, and I could just fix a couple of tiles around the floor right there. It was continuous through my whole entire house. I look back at that now and go, I got screwed. They owed me for all of my tile. They owed me for all of my boxes on the bottom and the matching of the top. But you don't know what you don't know, right? I mean,
We're here.
Right, and that's why we have a public adjuster on the show. We have a damage, damage restoration expert here, and we have a licensed Florida. How do we say it? I don't want to mess it up.
Board certified civil trial lawyer.
There we go. Right here on our show with us to help us get through a lot of this madness. Like I said, he gives out his cell phone number on most of our shows, so check us out on any of those. And of course, his dapper outfit of the day. Of course, you have to just zoom in to check that out anytime. That's another reason to watch us on YouTube for right there. You saw that? You saw how I got him all jealous? You have to check out his neighbor right next door, the dapper Sterling Scott over here, trying to keep up with the modified cummerbund type of vest going on. I like it there.
Hans has a really good sense of style. 100%.
We love that. We love that. Now, in this industry, we've seen so many changes, and especially over the last couple of years, I'll call it violent changes in our industry.
Violent, I would agree.
Yeah.
Yes, where we've had to make so many adjustments, to even see where we are today. And I know, Jim, you've been seeing it from the damage restoration side of things. From your perspective, what's been going on in this industry, and what have you been seeing?
Well, typically, as I think a lot of people may not know, homeowners included, what their policies are covering. You know, they may look at a lower premium and think, oh, God, thank you. But we all know you pay for what you get. So with a lower premium, without being actually to dive in and understand what coverages there are, water coverages now are typically $2,000 to $3,000. As you mentioned earlier with your $3,000 water, you have cabinets. We're not replacing cabinets for $3,000.
No way.
Right.
And then the insurance company has gone to this strong arm tactic of, preferred vendor. Preferred vendor basically is the insurance company sending out their people. Their people actually are working for the insurance carrier. They get the work based on they're going to do the minimum, and they're not going to do right by the homeowner.
I've got a question for you. So, how many times do you go out to a job and the insurance company tries to lowball you to either mold or water coverage? Do they talk policy with you because they shouldn't. And also, I think there might be more money on the table than what they're trying to elude. And I think that you are really trying to help the public, right? You're trying to make sure that that happens.
Right. Him being the first one as the emergency service provider that shows up, usually the first one there, and has to decipher through all of this stuff. And as a business, Jim has to decide on, what am I billing to the homeowner directly that they owe, and what am I billing to the insurance that they owe? And it almost puts him in a tough spot because he's not supposed to be reading into what's covered and what's not, right? But now with the world has changed now, at least in the state of Florida, and the way we have to contract, now Jim uses a different contract, more of one that is what they call a service authorization, a direction to pay, but still there's no guarantee of coverage, right? There's no guarantee of payment for the services you provided, so it falls back on the homeowner. So if the insurance company doesn't reimburse or pay, then unfortunately, then they're the ones that have to be collected on.
Yeah, does that happen often?
Well, like I say, I work for Dry Right Restorations, family-owned business over 40 years. I was vice president operations with damage control for almost 23 years. I've seen a lot of the changes. For us, we are not going after the homeowner. We do have licensed adjusters who can read policy, so we're able to really dive into before we start the restoration portion of it.
That's great.
We're going to make sure that our I's are dotted, T's are crossed.
Great.
And then when we do get into discussions with the insurance, quite naturally, yes, they want to go lowball. In the event that the claim is denied, at that point we will look to a public adjusters, for help. We don't go after the homeowner. Because we're making sure that the coverages are there, and at that point we will have legal standing in the event we need to use a gentleman like Hans, so that we're not
Or Sterling Scott.
Scott BA, without having to go back to the homeowner. Quite naturally, they are responsible for the deductible. Everybody knows that. Whether you go to the doctor, you get into a car accident, that is something that is, your responsibility, period. But when we get further into it, I'm not going to do $10,000-$15,000 worth of work with the hope and a prayer that I'm going to get paid.
Right.
We're navigating that on the front side. We are trying to be responsible, getting in touch with the carrier. But again, since we're not their preferred vendor, there's like this animosity, which it really doesn't need to exist.
I like that though.
Right.
So the fact that you're not in like the back pocket of the insurance company, so you're picked by the homeowner to do the work. And do you find it easy? Like, what is the process for you to go through and try to collect on something to just mitigate damages, right? Like something happens and you're called, whether by the insurance company or by the homeowner, and you show up and it's obviously and clearly something that should be covered. And you're just like, hey, this is my bill. Like, do you find yourself in a situation that is easy to get paid or not easy to get paid? Like, what is that?
Well, we've been fortunate because, like I said, we do due diligence in the front part of it.
Yeah.
So, we're not going to go in guns blazing and start ripping out kitchens, bathrooms. We're going to do what we have to do to start to
That's
remediate the property.
for the public, everybody, from what I'm aware of in the last 15 years, that's a very admirable thing to say. Like, you're going to approach the property in a way where it's like, hey, it's not free for all. Like, we're going to approach this in a very respectful way. That's good for you, sir.
Sure. If a restoration company comes in and starts ripping out stuff floor to ceiling before they get a coverage determination, you as a homeowner could be in a really vulnerable spot with all that tear out. Now, not only are you going to have a company coming after you for that money, but how are you going to afford to put it back if you're not ready for that situation and don't have coverage?
So Dry Right sounds like, you have a moralistic value, and when you're going into these places, and bravo to you, sir.
Yeah, well, the owner, Gil Lahamadou, has been in the industry 40 years, and that is one thing that he has always prided himself on, as well as the previous company I was with, Damage Control. It's about building relationships, and you hear the slogans like a good neighbor. I mean, we all know.
Don't say it.
Well, no. Well, we all know fences make great neighbors, and there's a reason for that.
That's right.
But with that being said, our first and foremost responsibility is trying to get the homeowner into what is called the pre-loss condition.
That's right.
We want them
Bingo.
to be back to where, if yesterday you woke up and your house is fine, you woke up today and
What a dream.
you now are underwater and underinsured, which we have a website that we're doing underwater, underinsured, because the numbers out there right now as far as coverages, like I said, you have a 310 coverage. For those of you not knowing, the 3 is 3,000, and that's for the cleaning up and
Emergency
stabilizing,
services, yes.
doing it. The 10, that includes the put back. But out of that 10, 3,000 comes out. So now
If you hire me, you'll get more than 10.
I like that, Jim. I like what you're saying on that, the 310s, because, man, that makes a lot of sense, especially to me, when you've got, you got your 3,000, right? Your emergency service that they'll allow for, EMS, up to $3,000.
Right.
You have your 10,000 to use
you have to
anybody, unless you want to use their preferred pretender. You got $10,000 worth of mold coverage, right? And then you have other limitations that'll keep you down on here. And that's what most people need to understand. If you don't know what your policy looks like, I would imagine you have these things hidden in your policy that you really need to reach out to a public adjuster or an attorney and say, explain this to me. What happens if I have a sewer backup? What happens if I have wind damage? What happens if a pipe breaks inside of my house? How much coverage do I really have? If you have a $500,000 home with that policy language, but you're limited to $10,000 of water, limited water damage cap is out there and becoming very popular with these insurance policies. They limit you to $10,000 for a water loss. So if a pipe breaks in your $500,000 home and if it breaks upstairs, can you imagine the amount of damage it's going to do? And here's $10,000, but I have $500,000 worth of coverage, but yet you really only have $10,000 pending on the type of loss that occurs.
And let me be the bearer of bad news, right? Because yes, there are emergency services that can be completely and immediately should be dispersed, but I could be the bearer of bad news, or I could be the knight in shining armor.
So Jim, with your new digs, I still give out your information. Call Jim at Damage Control. Let's set the record right. How do we get a hold of you? Tell us your website, your email address, phone number. How do we get a hold of you today?
Well, Dry Right. The phone number 407-448-0048. Offhand, I don't know the website address, but you could look us up. Dry Right. We cover the state of Florida. We have offices in Jacksonville, Fort Myers, Fort Lauderdale, Orlando. We've branched up into Virginia. So we're covering the state. And again, part of our success, and you may not like to hear this, is that we haven't had to really use public adjusters because of the way we approach the claim in the very beginning.
Fantastic.
We have a really good group of people on the back end for collections. We're making sure. So when we do decide to do a rebuild, we're not going to go in and start doing the rebuild until I have check in hand, I have the coverages have been determined and agreed upon, and the homeowner is going to know exactly. Will it take time? We know there's supposed to be 60-day pay. They don't pay attention to that. It can stretch out 90, 120. Hans, I'm sure, can testify. It's, you just...
I object. Just kidding. I have no objection.
Look, I understand public adjuster, most of the time, I believe wholeheartedly that if a claim needs to be filed, they should contact the public adjuster just so they can quarterback the whole situation. But I understand also that a public adjuster's role is mainly to just clean up a mess. So a lot of what we do is cleaning up messes and getting,
or to avoid the mess. And I think what Jim's saying up front is that they're doing their due diligence up front. If it makes sense for them to provide services for that homeowner under that policy, you guys know that in advance. And that kind of cuts down the amount of foo bars that you guys run into later on if there is no coverage.
Well, in the same interim, not every job is a good job.
Right. That's where I was going with that, right?
Exactly. And, we have gone on properties, looked at, and you talk to the homeowner, and you can also get a sense of where they're coming from. Are they looking for that, as you say, $30,000 check? Woohoo! I've got money in my pocket. Mm-hmm. Well, what they don't realize is if they have another claim, and they haven't repaired the claims from the first one, they're going to have a denied, possibility there.
Right.
So for us, it's all about trying to, on the front side of the claim, get as much information. And again, we have walked away from jobs due to the fact that we don't want to have any entanglement where the homeowner is not pleased, not happy, goes back to the carrier. And again, not every job is a good job.
That's right. Now, if somebody wants to contact Dry Right, they want to contact you and they want an evaluation, is there a cost to that? Are you guys offering free evaluations? How does that work?
We do a complimentary assessment where we will go out, look at the property, determine if there is something, and if we deem there is, we will then discuss with you your options. Some claims, are not worth making. For the simple fact is, I'm sure many that know that the carrier and the big thing out there is, you make a claim, they're going to drop me, they're going to,
False.
well, but that's the narrative that a lot of homeowners.
I know, and it irks me every time because there's this whole myth that if you file a claim, something bad's going to happen to you, and it really just makes me upset that the public in general is paying for a service that they're scared to use.
Right. And that's the thing, right? I mean, if you have, most people think about it the way I do, especially in an auto situation. If you get in a little ding or some sort, a door ding or a little fender bender, you're doing the math. You're like, okay, how much does it cost me to fix this? And if it's $1 over your deductible, what do? You file a claim. Right. But that's just how normal people think about that in an auto situation.
You should file the claim anyways because you're obligated to file the claim, even if it's under deductible. And you don't know.
I guess my point is that more people are free to file these claims on their auto. But now because of that whole mess with all of that improper media that came from the insurance lobby, it made everybody scared. It put a chilling effect in the industry to where homeowners don't want to file a claim. They feel like this one gentleman, he had an interesting house, so he has to get a different type of provider. And he's like, it took me a long time to get this insurance set up. I don't want to use it. I'm like, well, why did you get it? If you're not going to use it, right? So people are thinking that if I file a claim, I won't be able to get insurance ever. And that's not the case.
Incorrect. Yeah.
It's not the case. So, but yeah, I love this. I love how we can talk to a professional restoration contractor, and you can feel at ease to not have a bunch of walls ripped out that's not going to get covered if you call Jim at Dry Right. And I think that's important for us to have this for our viewers and for our not only our professionals but our consumers as well. And Hans, if somebody does have a coverage question or if they're thinking about going to litigation or maybe they have that need right there, how do they get a hold of you?
Sure, it's Hans Kennan at KennanLaw.com, or actually just Hans at KennanLaw.com. My cell phone is 407-782-0258, as Richie's mentioned before. Just open your phone and put in HANS, Kennan, KENNON, lawyer. My cell phone number, 407-782-0258. And you wake up one morning and go, I should ask a lawyer about that. Then you just hit that button and call me.
That's right. And how many times do you get a picture of somebody's policy? I could take that a couple different jokes, a couple different ways there.
People
but
sometimes send me a policy page by page by photo.
Email, please. Email, please.
That's amazing.
And it just starts letting out like 72. Well, I'm like, what did I get? And it's a photograph of each page. Slightly helter-skelter there. You're trying to figure out what it is. But yes, but either way, we're happy to chat with you.
And by the way, Mr. Dry Right, I've met a lot of guys, and the way you're speaking, I would definitely want to get you involved with some of my jobs.
That's great to hear. Thank
you. The way that you're talking about it and the way, I agree with you. And I look forward to seeing
appreciate that.
Anybody that I've ever recommended to Jim has never called me back and said, who is this guy? This guy did not work out well. It's almost like thumbs up. Thank God you introduced me to him. So I don't have to worry about it from there forward. So you can definitely feel at ease to call Jim at Dry Right. He'll take care of you. You guys do more than restoration, Jim. You do the putback as well?
We do everything from soup to nuts. We'll do pre-mold testing. We do the post-testing. We do have a remediation company for if there is the mold. We do the construction. We'll do the ATP, lead testing, asbestos testing. We have people that will do the asbestos
abatement portion.
Abatement if necessary. But yeah, we are a one-stop shop, and that's really one of the beauties of it is that the homeowner, quite naturally, most have never been in a situation when it does inflict water upon their property, and they don't know what to do. And a lot of times people will come in, they'll rip out the baseboard drywall, boom, boom, say, okay, that's it, good luck. They're like, what's next? Well, that's on you. You sign up with Dry Right. We're going to walk you through every step by step until the very end that you're back in your home. And, hopefully you'll never have to call us again. But if you do, we're here.
You want the job done right? Call Dry Right.
Thank
There you
you.
go.
I like it.
I love it, man. All right. Well, this is our bite-sized show for you today. Right around 20 minutes is what our promise is, so we can get a consumable show over to you. Check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and on our YouTube page. Like and subscribe us there. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell is how you'll find us on YouTube. And again, we're trying to catch up to Mr. Beast. Let's do this. He just announced today 500 million subscribers. I'm only on LinkedIn these days, so I checked it out, and I couldn't believe how many subscribers he has.
Never mind that. What about there's a trillionaire, which I like, whatever, but a trillionaire. Never mind Mr. Beast.
A higher, what did they say? A higher GDP than most countries or whatever. This guy's rolling on his own.
Who cares about Mr. Beast? There's a freaking trillionaire. Power to him. Whatever.
I love that. Everything is open for discussion here on the show. I thank you guys for being here. Hans, of course, thank you for being the man of the hour, and really put us all at ease. If we have a question, a legal question, Hans is here to help us out. Jim, thank you so much for being on the show. Good to see you, man.
You too, brother.
All right. You want it done right? Call Dry Right. I love that. And we have Sterling Scott, my man. I've known you for over a decade now and involved with so many different claims. And good to see you here today. Trust Public Adjusting Group is where you're going to find him in case you need a good public adjuster to ensure you're going to get past the finish line. If you're an appraisal, he has an appraisal company to take it all the way and get you the maximized payment that you possibly can on your insurance claim. So this is what we promise here, is to bring all the boys to the group that you're going to need if you're a consumer and you're in trouble, if you're about ready to start an insurance claim, or if you have a question about that. So check us out on our forums, and any way you can find us. ContractorTalkPodcast.com is where you find all the links for us, and we're sponsored by the Restoration Association of Florida, raflorida.org. Thank you guys for being here, and we'll talk to you guys on the next show.
Thank
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.